is to adopt a passive. I completely disagree. Sitting back and resting on your laurels simply won't get the job done. You have to take the message to the other side. As I've said before, you can't expect them to come to you when they're already convinced they have the truth. Passiveness is the death knell for philosophies that seek to grow. Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, spend millions of dollars propagandizing. Do you seriously think they would continue these programs if they weren't gaining adherents and spreading their word? Do you know of any companies or corporations that don't spend valuable funds to advertise their message? Many spend billions each year, fully aware of the fact that passivity, that is laying back and taking it easy, would be comparable to a death sentence. Political parties spend untold sums to get their ideas out to as many people as possible, and they spend even more millions frustrating their opponent's message. From telemarketers to the visual media, nearly everyone is selling something, and passivity is the last thing on their minds. Passivity is precisely what a good salesman does not have. Apparently, you're operating on the theory that as long as your views are correct, you don't have to worry. Eventually, the world will beat a path to your door. I'm sorry to say, that's completely wrong. If people with money, power, and influence don't want your message spread, your entire program can be kept in limbo almost indefinitely. Being right doesn't guarantee automatic victory, not by any means. The word religion is nothing more than a euphemistic veneer for superstition, mythology, and folklore. But that hasn't prevented it from having been around for a long time, nor has it forestalled its continued growth. Money, power, and influence have far more to do with what prevails than truthfulness. I've personally encountered problems in this regard. I've been on radio programs in which, to put it mildly, the competition felt humiliated. In several instances, it was more than a defeat and clearly showed that my ideas deserved a much greater hearing. But do you think I was called back? No way. They weren't about to provide me with any more access to the public than I'd already received. Talk show hosts have actually told me on the air that they definitely wanted me back, but I've never heard from them again. Why? Apparently, either callers, sponsors, station managers, owners, or influential people sympathetic to religion in general, or the Bible in particular, managed to work their will, which shows beyond doubt that accuracy and precision, those two alone, are not sufficient to carry the day. It takes more than that, believe me. As I said, I know from personal experience, firsthand no less. If you doubt this, just go out and present a powerful, true, and convincing case against the Bible in general and Jesus in particular, and see how far you get on commercial radio or television. Not only do you have opposition from powerful and influential people, as well as many listeners, but you have the additional problem of dealing with the profit margin dilemma. Talk show hosts and programs are especially bad in this regard. They aren't nearly as interested in accuracy as they are in ratings and the bottom line. Even though what I have to present is true and my arguments are powerful, stations don't care if it's alienating listeners. I'm not making them sufficient money, and that's their primary concern. The same problem exists with getting a book published. Consequently, the word that gets out, the voice that gets heard, is the one that tells people what they want to hear, not what they ought to hear. As is true in so much of this society, that which circulates most is that which appeals to the lowest common denominator. Talk about a situation that's made to order for the dumbing down of America. TV preachers spread an incredible number of lies, distortions, misinterpretations, and half-truths, and they do so almost totally unopposed, simply because they have the wherewithal and the needed supporters. Do you see them fading into the sunset? Where do you see the truth overtaking them? No, my friend, passivity doesn't cut it. Assertiveness, supported by the means to get the job done, is where it's at. You say, religious superstitions will die of their own weight over a period of time. Too many freethinkers have been kidding themselves with that remark for centuries. Regarding religious superstitions, you say that their demise is a certainty as long as scientific and rational thought progresses. A certainty, yes, but in what century? Unfortunately, if you don't push them, they're not going to fall, especially when they have hundreds of millions of dollars, the media, and vast resources propping them up. You're talking like an optimistic determinist who believes that goodness will triumph in the end. But unfortunately, deception will reign supreme as long as good men and women remain passive. What's that old adage? All that's needed for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. That completes our presentation. And please join us later for the 100th edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, when we'll continue showing why the Bible is nothing more than the flawed composition of some fallible human beings. Thank you for listening.